This week on Full Circle Florida, what you need from lawmakers versus what you get.
With that in mind, I'm going to use my time to go over the proper way to use a condom.
What are they doing up there? Our debate, our discussion. Buckle up. Why are industry insiders warning about a sharp increase in gas prices? What I found out. Welcome, everyone, here to Full Circle Florida. Let's bring in our Capitol reporter, Forrest Saunders, in Tallahassee. Forrest, the debate over abortion heating up again this week. Some lawmakers wanting to allow parents to sue doctors if they perform an illegal abortion with this expanded version of the Wrongful Death Act. All right, I'm confused because I'm not aware of doctors going around forcing anyone to get an abortion. So why is this necessary?
Well, so you are hitting on the criticism that Democrats and opponents of this bill have had, which is they feel like it's too broad, that it's going to allow people to bring these kinds of claims against potentially even mothers, even though the bill explicitly says that is not the case. But what Republicans say is that they are doing this to try and create a clear pathway for parents to seek some kind of claim in the event of the wrongful death of a unborn child. And we're talking about things like car crashes. We're talking about slip and falls, those kinds of liabilities, because right now we're relying on common law, and they say that common law isn't enough. It doesn't give a clear pathway for parents. And so that's why they're bringing this. They say it's not about abortion. It's just about doing what's right. It's about justice. That is the line we keep hearing. All
right. Meanwhile, Governor DeSantis in his budget was calling for a tax break to offset the crushing cost of home insurance that so many homeowners in Florida are getting hit with. The Senate comes back with this 1.75% discount. So I guess don't spend it all in one place. Was that really the best they could do in a state that I think at the last check had a $20 billion surplus at one point?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a reality of the times, too. I mean, we've got a changing dynamic here in Tallahassee. Yeah, it's a $114 billion budget proposal that DeSantis has. And yeah, he was asking for $431 million in tax breaks on homeowners insurance. But lawmakers are also looking to the future, and there are a couple things to consider. We're not getting that influx of COVID dollars anymore, so federal funding is drying up, so you can't supplement the budget as much as you used to. Plus, there's a concern that we might see a downturn in tourism. And if that happens, budget's going to get a lot tighter because, of course, Florida relies on those tourism dollars, sales tax revenue, to fund itself. So in that circumstance, you can't necessarily be giving away these giant tax break packages that we have in the past.
All right, finally, Republican lawmakers, they seem to be changing their tone, at least in the leadership, with Pasadomo sort of calling the shots and being a bit of a gatekeeper. Are they kind of backing off the culture war stuff? Several of those bills are stalled. They're getting the message maybe that Florida voters care more about the cost of living than the war on woke. Do you see a change up there?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I got two words for you: legislative autonomy. We're starting to see that more this legislative session than we have in the past. In fact, the Senate chamber behind me is starting to look more like the Senate of yore in that they are more moderate in some of their positions. You got to remember, these are lawmakers that have larger districts, right? They represent more of the state, and so as a result, they're not as polarized as we might see some of those candidates and politicians over in the House. And a result of that is that they are going to be more moderate in their positions and not support some of these bills that are more polarizing. So what you're seeing is Senate President Kathleen Pasadomo putting her foot down on things like the unwinding the Parkland bills and the potential culture war issues that we've seen pop up in the House. And will that continue? Well, we're going to have to wait and see, because obviously we got new leadership coming in the next legislative cycle in 2025. Paul.
Forrest Saunders, thank you for your insight as always. Appreciate it. From Tallahassee to Washington, as we bring in ABC News political director Rick Klein with all the news of the week here. And let's start with a big, huge headline that dropped this week about this ex-FBI informant who is not only being indicted for lying to the FBI about Hunter Biden, but they're saying that the lies came from Russia. This is starting to sound like 2016 all over again.
Yeah, it is. It's a stunning development. I think it has immediate implications for the push to impeach Joe Biden. I think it really makes that almost evaporate. And it also raises big questions about Russia and its potential role in this election all over again. I think you've heard President Biden making an issue out of this. Even you're hearing Nikki Haley making an issue out of the fact that Donald Trump won't condemn Putin or blame Putin for the death of Navalny, or for really any of the election interference or the other assorted things that we've seen the Russians up to for some time. So I think it crystallizes Russia as a campaign issue, and yeah, it does impact the efforts by Republicans to try to get Joe Biden out of office.
Yeah, let's talk about Nikki Haley for a second. She said she's staying in the race. It looks like she's got a base of donors that's willing to finance her for as long as she can. Is there any end on when she might be dropping out past Super Tuesday?
Well, right now, yeah, she says she's in through Super Tuesday. South Carolina, her home state, votes over the weekend, and if she doesn't win there or come really close, it's really hard to see a path forward for her anywhere else. But she's got a right to stay in and even accumulate delegates. She's avoiding this term, but I think it's fair to think of her almost as a backup plan for Republicans if Donald Trump were to implode or have some kind of a health issue, implode politically, or have a conviction, something that would really change the calculus in a major way. You're right, she has that base and she has the donor support, but she doesn't have the voter support. And unless she starts getting that, she doesn't have a realistic path to the nomination.
Congress is on break. They walked away without passing that funding for Ukraine. Are Republicans and the leadership in particular really willing to walk away from Ukraine, or do you see that playing out where they'll finally get something done, or could they let Ukraine fall to Russia?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think right now you're seeing Trump's influence in real time over the proceedings in Capitol Hill. The fact that Congress is on break this week while this is out there, the support for the Ukrainians is very much in jeopardy. And it's hard to imagine a scenario where they come back and do it really easily. Clearly, the only way it happens is if Democrats are there to help out. And Speaker Johnson knows that could cost him his job with all these funding deadlines as well as the foreign aid deadlines. I think the best shot probably was the big immigration and national security bill that had Israel and Ukraine as well as border money, but that the House opposed because of Trump's opposition, and the Senate didn't even move it forward. So I think we're in a tough spot when it comes to foreign aid, and the party is kind of reinventing itself on the Republican side.
Well, one senator from Maine said they got about 6 months before Ukraine is in some serious trouble and democracy in Europe hangs in the balance. Rick Klein, thank you for your insight. Appreciate it. Next on Full Circle Florida, why gas prices are about to spike.